Welcome back everyone to the next video here, and in this video we will be covering on making our homepage where we will be rendering our title and preview. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are just going to go into our home. So let's just get out of some of these here. We can get out of the navbar, the app.js we can just get out of, and okay. Perfect. So we have our home, and let's go to our home here. Perfect. So let's just go back to create a blog real quick, and we just want to no, that can stay there. We just want to comment this out. That way, once we go to our, because we're going to be calling upon our API again in our home, we just want to make sure that it's working, and we don't want to have too many APIs. So coming up here and gets us confused. So we have that. Perfect. So it's working. Awesome. So what we're going to do now is just go to your home.js file, and this is where we're going to start. So what we can do is we can just set it up just like this here. Make our div, and then inside of our div is where we are going to render our API. Okay, so just as we had it here in our creator blog, we have to use import Axios as well as use state and use effect. So what I'm going to do is just copy this and just paste it here, replacing that was previous. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we are going to just make a const variable. That way we can store and save all of our whole blogs. Remember, it's as if we're making a GET request. That way we can render it onto the page. Okay, so with all of our values. So we're going to call this blogs and set blogs, just like that. And then use state equals use state. And then in brackets. And the reason why we're making use state in brackets here instead of the quotes, because remember, we're getting the whole thing. And remember, I mentioned way back in the beginning here when it came to our server here, before we wrote anything, it was going to be inside of brackets. So we want to get anything that's inside of the brackets, which is all of these values, okay, and all of these blogs. So that's what we're going to do here. So that's why we are home. That's why we are using the brackets instead of just the quotes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do similar to what we did here, in which was making the fetch blogs here. Okay. So we're going to do use effect, and let's just refresh this. Okay. Use effect, and then just like that, and then fetch blogs, because we want to fetch all the blogs and then we want to call it, right? So now what we're going to do is we are going to define the fetch blogs. So fetch blogs, and then just finish off the function here, and then we're going to use Axios dot get, and then if we had it here, we can just go back to Postman, just like this here. Okay, and just like that. So now we're going to then pass in the response, and then we want to console.log it first, res.data, just to see if it's working. And then once we have our console.log, just remember just to refresh the page. That way, if you do have any errors, it'll just go away here. Okay, so as you can see, it's working perfectly. Awesome. So now we can set it to our blogs. So set blogs and then res.data. So we're saving the res.data into our blogs. And don't forget, as you saw, like how many just came up, just don't forget to use the empty array list here inside brackets. And look at that now. That's insane, right? So if you're using a regular API that only requires like 100 calls, then you're screwed basically, right? So you just, now just one comes up. Okay, awesome. So now what we're going to do is we are just going to go back here inside of our brackets, because everything's already done here, and we're just going to render it. So we are just going to do blogs, and we are going to map through the array. because remember it's in brackets, so it's an array. Okay, we're going to map through our API. So we are going to make this blog just easily, and you can make this anything else. Just make sure when you're using it down here to basically call and render your value that it's actually what's in here instead of blogs. Okay, so now we're just going to do that, and then I like to just make another list div here. Perfect. And now let's see if it works. So we'll make this an h4, and we'll say blog dot title. So let's see if it works. Perfect. Look at that, guys. So the title is coming out, right? So now what we want to do is we want to have the we want to have the preview. So this can be this could be a span. We can make this a span here, and then this we're going to have blog dot preview. Okay, and then perfect. Look at that, guys. Now we have our preview there. That's awesome. So now let's just fix this up using Tailwind as well. So we just want everything to be centered as well. So text center, just move this to the center, and then let's just add some padding from the H1. That way we can just move everything a little down here. CP6. Okay, perfect. Okay, now what we want to do is we just want to add a border top to all of these. That we will just have a border and just separate all of them. So we'll have border top. Let's see how that looks. Okay, awesome. Now we're just missing this, so we can easily do that just by adding a border here, the border bottom, and then as you can see, it's going to be the border there, and perfect. And let's just make this a little darker, border black, and then border black here, border black. Perfect. So look at that, guys. That's looking so much better now. And lastly here, let's just see if we can add a padding. That way we can just put it. Let's add another padding, maybe 3, maybe 4 will work better. Okay, 4 will work better. Okay, awesome. Now look at that, guys. Now we have anything that we post. So let's just take a look here. So we are going to go to our create a blog. Okay, and we are going to type in Star Wars. Okay, Phantom Menace. That's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and I'm going to post here, I love Star Wars, the Phantom Menace. Okay, and now we are just going to submit the blog. Okay, and it probably did it twice because I clicked it twice, but hopefully not. But let's just go back to our home page here, and look at that, guys. Now it created it here. All right, so now we're rendering it, and the reason why this looks a little off is because it actually did it twice. So if you want, you could just come here, and then you'll take a look here as well. Just go to refresh. Refreshing the page, and of course we have it because I clicked it twice thinking that it'll show in our console log, but I forgot that I commented out. Okay, so perfect. So we have that. Now let's just delete that. That way it just looks normal here. And just refresh the page, and perfect. Look at that, guys. Oh, and don't forget to use the to set the key prop as well. So we'll just do the unique key. So we'll just do key and then just take that out, and then we'll say blog.id. Okay, and now this should come out, and perfect. So we're good to go. So look at that, guys. That's so awesome. So now let's do it once again here. Create a blog. Just write test, test, and test. We hit submit blog, and now we go to our homepage. And look at that, test, test, the title and the preview. All right. So now lastly, what we just want to do is we want to be able to make this like a link, in which we'll use link, just as we did with our nav bar. That way, once we click on it, it's going to take us to our profile page, right? So the way we go about doing that is we're just gonna copy this whole thing, and then I'm just gonna use, actually, sorry, it's just this here. Okay, that's that way if the user just clicks on the title or the preview. Okay, so we're just going to copy and paste that and then just make a link here, and of course we will get our errors because it's not defined, so we'll just use import link from React router DOM, just like that, and it should go away. Okay, it should go away after this. Okay, perfect. So now what we're gonna do is we are just going to make the 2. Okay, and then we're gonna use the backticks here. Oh, I forgot the here. Okay, perfect. Now the tertiary operators here, and then now we're just gonna go blogs. Okay, and then this is where we're gonna input the ID, but except we're kind of gonna be manipulating it, which is cool to see. So just gonna press ID, enter the ID here, but except the ID we're gonna say blog dot underscore ID because we want the link to take us to the ID of this. So as you can see, hopefully it does work, but I'm sure it'll work. So once we just make it bigger here, let's go to the Fridays, right? We go Fridays and boom, look at that. So we have our blog profile component or our page here, and it takes us to the ID here, right? So remember, this is 21E6. So let's just go back and then let's go to Star Wars 21E6. So it's perfect. No, ella lo saca. Ajá. Okay. So we'll just take a look to see if it works. All right, let's reverse the page and we just hit, let's say, Fridays. And look at that, guys. It took us to our blog profile page, in which we forgot to add it to the middle here, but that's okay. And now it takes us to the ID. Okay, so let's just go back and let's just check out another one. So this one is 21E6, right? Go back and let's go to the Star Wars. Look at that, guys. It changed. It took us to the ID. And if you just want to make sure here, we go to the Star Wars and the ID 2413. Perfect, guys. So it's working perfectly and just how we want it to work. So great job, guys. Thanks for sticking around. And the next video is going to be making the delete request here. That way we can just make a delete button, and that way we can fluidly just delete them as we go. All right, and see you there.